Good Monday morning. Here's Kramer's Corner with the daily technical update. It is the 30th of October, and as October is drawing to an end, the equities market is still getting weaker. We had S&P 500 just bouncing or closing just above 4,100, very close to touching it, and the lower one of the lower levels here in the consolidation area. There is still downside potential to 4,050, 4,000, where we have a little bit more strong support. 4,000 is more like a psychological level, really, but the RSI is pointing lower. However, as we can see here from the US 500 CFD and the future also, that we are bouncing a little bit here in the early morning. Let's see how long that can hold, but we could bounce a little bit higher towards the 4,200. Nasdaq 100 also closed lower for a second day below 14,254. We are still above the 200 moving average, but I think here in going into this week of into November, it's still to the weak side, and a move below 14,000 could be seen. But the 200 moving average could give a little bit of support. Just very quickly, I'll point your attention to the Russell 2000. This is the ETF. It actually closed below support here. As you can see, we are in a downtrend on the small caps, so that's really quite heavy. They've been quite weak for some time. In the European market, EUROStoxx 50 finding support around the 4,000, has dipped just below here last week, and if we can take out the peak here from last week at 4,083, well, then we could see a rebound up to test this upper falling trend line there. DAX finding support several times at 14,675, and I think we could bounce a little bit. I'm not quite sure we'll get up to 15,000, but if it does take out 14,933, it could have a go at it at least, but still very on the weak side here. There's no divergence on the RSI. The Amsterdam index 710 is the key support to look out for. As you can see, very close to be testing a couple of times, but we are in a downtrend also, medium term. Bouncing in Europe in general a little bit this morning, and the Belgian market that has been quite one of the weakest ones, apart from Switzerland, which we're going to look at in a minute. Bouncing from around the 3280, 3270 level, but we are down here with the Q4 levels from last year, and I think we will see a little bit of bounce towards the 3,400. I don't think we will get all the way up there, but around 3,350, around that, maybe a little bit higher on the Belgian market. It looks fairly, and I don't think it's over. CAC 40. Just below 6,800 support here. It bounced a little bit. I think we will see a little bit of range bound between 6,800 and 6,900, possibly up to 6,950. There is a little bit of support there, but still also on the weak side, as we can see here. Also on the weekly, the indicators are pointing to lower levels. And finally, the Swiss markets. I did say, well, there is room down to 10,000, but seems like it's finding some support here just above 10,250. Maybe we could have a bit of correction up to 10,500, but also very weak there. There's still lower levels in the cards, and quite likely going into November. On the FX side, euro dollar is not really. It's really can't find a direction here. I mean, technically we are in a short-term uptrend with higher highs and higher lows, but it seems like it can't really get upside traction. Maybe next couple of days we'll see another attempt at 106.35, possibly also up to 107, but 107 seems to be quite a strong resistance, but there should be room up to 107.60, 65 level, which is the 61.8 retracement, and also the resistance here. So let's see if can actually do that. The RSI seems to be bouncing off its lower rising trend line. So I think we will have another go, but it's not that convincing. Euro sterling, once again, about to test the 87.35 resistance, and maybe this time it means business. And I still see 88.20 to be an outcome to reach in the next couple of weeks. US also bouncing quite strongly off, and we can see here if we look at the weekly Y, it's bounced off the 94 and a move up to 90. Well, what are we talking about? The 95.80s, which is the 61.8 retracement. If it starts to come up around these levels here, around 90, above 96, then the situation could change and we could see a bigger bounce in more upside potential on US Swiss. Cable really just moving sideways, can't really find a direction. Will it take out the previous lows here from a couple of weeks ago, earlier this month at 120, 30-ish level, or will it bounce higher? I think it will be depressed a little bit here on the short term. On the dollar yen, quite interesting move here. Friday that ended the week back below 150, 15 resistance. And we are taking out this short-term rising trend line. You shouldn't put too much weight into it, but still it's a little bit of a guide. So I think we will see dollar yen drifting lower here the next few days. But if it moves back above 150, 15, well, expect a move towards 152. Still 159.75 is a strong resistance for euro yen. We have, excuse me. Aussie yen still trading sideways, and I think it's safe to say we can remove this one. Still trading sideways. 95.85 is the key level there to look out for. Sterling yen also sideways, not really much to say. Aussie dollar, is it forming a kind of a falling wedge pattern here? And if it takes out the upper falling trend line and above the 55 moving average, maybe we will not get all the way down to 61.85, but it remains to be seen. But look, keep an eye on these trend lines there. Finally, on the dollar index, zooming in a little bit, 105.34, 106.57. That is the range it needs to close outside of for a direction. Another good end to, or strong end to the week for gold, when it's closed above the 1985, strong resistance here Friday, a little bit of a week Monday morning, and as our commodities expert said, it's quite normal during a conflict like we have now in the Middle East, that up to the weekend no one wants to have any or they want to hedge their positions, and they are going long gold over the weekend, and then a little bit of a setback. However, we are in an uptrend. There's no RSI divergence indicating we could see higher levels. Move to 161.8 projection at 2024 seems likely, but there is not really any strong resistance until previous peaks around 2070-80 level on gold. So very strong at the moment. It's really running away from silver, but silver might have a go at the key resistance at 23.78. If it does close above these levels here, well, then we are really in a bullish uptrend. Until now, it's merely just a correction. And finally, when we're talking metals, copper, as we speak, it's breaking above its falling trend line here, and possible move up to around 375. So these levels here, around this level here, around 354.5, was too strong for bears to penetrate. If it breaks back above 382, well, then there could be further upside. However, look at what's happening with the 200 moving average. So I think the upside will be fairly limited, at least on the short term. On copper. On the energy market, WTI and crude oil in general is just trading sideways here. 81.50 is the key support to look out for on WTI for the for downside potential, and as we can see here, Brent also sidestepping just above the 61.8 retracement. So if it does take out the lows here from last week at 86.68, well, then we will have a look at 83.44 key strong support. And finally, on the energy, just point your attention to Dutch gas, that is currently trading above the resistance here at 54.45, and it seems to be in an uptrend. If we look at the weekly chart, you can see it's really a key resistance. Henry Hub gas rejected at 363 resistance, but we are in an uptrend also on the weekly. So over the winter, going into the winter, there could be more upside potential, but a little bit of a setback here is expected. The US 10-year range between 5% and a bit, 5.01% and 4.80. That is the level to break out of for direction, and we are also basically just sidestepping here. Look out for a break of the upper falling trend line or not. Or we could set back to around 470. If we drop back below 450, well, then maybe the uptrend is over. All right, that's all for today. Happy trading and have a nice day.